Hi, okay, welcome to session 6. We're cracking on through the course. Got your usual recap for you, and then we're going to be looking at inequalities. I'm going to do it as one recording. I think it will be quite big, and you'll end up wanting to do it in a couple of parts. But yeah, it's nice to just keep it, I think, contained into the one part. So do your recap, press play when you're ready for the answers, and then we will move into our inequalities. Okay, so there's your answers. Hopefully it's starting to feel a little easier and you're not having to look things up as much. So just hit that pause, get all your marking done, and then we will move on. Now, inequalities look like this. So we'll say we've got 5x plus 3. We've got this inequality symbol and 23. Now, this is always tricky for some people. So this is greater than. So it says that whatever this is on this side, it has to be greater than whatever is on this side. And when people see this, they automatically think it's something that they don't know anything about and they can't do, which is not the case at all. All right. If I had given the same question as 5x plus 3 equals 23, we would be much more comfortable because this is something we've had more experience with. And we know that if we want to know what x equals, we get it on its own and we literally just hop everything away from that x and we work it out. This isn't treated any differently. So if you've already got your solving equations secure, then you've not got a lot more to worry about when it comes to solving. I mean, there's more to the topic inequalities, which we will see. So let's do the solving bit. So this was actually taught all the way back in one of our grade 3 courses. And obviously, if you haven't done that course and you're not as secure on your equations as you could be, then this is a skill that you're going to build as you go through this at the same time, which will make it a little bit harder. But hopefully we've already got the kind of building blocks for this, and it's not going to be anything to worry about. So if I want to know what x is, I want to get it on its own. I've got a 5 and a 3 that will need to move to this side. So what I'm going to do is I am going to pick up the plus 3 and I'm going to drop it on the opposite side. It lands as minus 3. So the digit itself, the number will never change, but the sign will always change to its opposite. Okay. Now, how do I know to move the 3 first? I could have picked up the 5 and that wouldn't have been the right thing to do. I would have ended up with the wrong answer. So there's 2 ways to think about it. It's kind of like Bidmus backwards. All right, so if I write Bidmus down, I've got a plus, and here this is squashed to that x, so I've got a times. So I've got an add and a times. And if I do my Bidmus backwards, it says move the add first. So that's what I've done. For a lot of equations, not for all, so it's not a foolproof method, but it's a really nice thing to have up your sleeve when you're stuck, because it works a lot of the times, is it can be like the last thing you say is the first thing you hop. So again, I could have read this out loud, 5x plus 3 was the last thing I said. So it's the first thing I hop. Okay, so I'm going to do my tidy up. On this side, I've just got the 5x left because that's gone. I've still got my symbol, and 23 take 3 is 20. I'm now going to move the 5, which is a times on this side. So it's going to land as a divide on that side. I now have x on its own equaling 4. Well, greater than 4. Okay, so x is greater than 4. X can be any number as long as it's greater than 4. Okay, now I can represent this solution on a number line. So if I was to just draw a number line, there's the number 4. 3 would come in front of it, 5 would come after it. The way that I would represent this is I would draw a circle above the 4. I would then look at my symbol. My symbol's now becoming arrowhead in my mind, okay? So I'm going to draw a line pointing in the same direction as my arrowhead. And that line and that arrowhead is saying all the numbers this side of the 4 could be x, because x is a number greater than 4. So it could be 5, it could be 5.5, it could be 10,000, as long as it's greater than 4. So this notation here is really, really important that we get right. Now, the arrowhead's a really easy way of knowing what direction to draw your line in. So that's worth remembering. And then you've got to think, well, there are actually 3 symbols. There's this one. So I said 3, there's 4. Then there's this one with the line, and then there's this one with the line. So this one here is greater. This is less than. This is greater than or equal to, so it could equal it. And this is less than or equals to. When it hasn't got the equals, I have an open circle. When it's got the equals, I have a filled in circle. I'm pointing that way because of the arrow. I'm pointing that way because of, seeing the symbol as an arrow. I'm pointing that way. I'm pointing that way. So there's 4 that we have to know how to draw. One of the ways that you could remember whether it's going to be open or closed is, I always think of it like this. It takes me 1 movement to draw that, and it takes me 1 movement to draw that. But if I'm drawing this, that takes 1 movement and then a second movement. I've literally got to lift the pen off the paper and then put it back down to draw that second one. So this is me doing 1 thing, doing 2 things. And that was how I made that link when I first had to learn that and remember it for myself. So we are in the first part of our inequalities, going to practice doing these equations and then solving them here. I'm then going to show you how they can take this to grade 5. And then how to do it kind of backwards. So if you've been given it on a line, that will come in the second part. So there is a lot happening in this particular session. All right, we're going to build it and build it and build it. So let's have another question. So we're going to have 6x minus 10 is less than or equal to 62. Okay. So first thing I want you to do is just have a go. If you aren't secure on your solving equations, then obviously as I go through each one, you will have it modeled, and we'll be doing quite a lot, to be fair. So you should be okay. If not, there is the quick how-to videos on YouTube where you could look at some more of the examples there on how to solve equations, because it's a key skill to this, but it's an assumed knowledge, so it's not taught. All right, have a go and press play when you're ready. Okay, so 6x minus 10. The last thing I say, minus 10, is the first thing I hop. It's going to land as plus 10. That's gone, leaving me just 6x on that side, and 62 plus 10 is 72. The 6 is now moving. It's a times on that side, so it lands as a divide. X is now on its own, and 6's into 72 go 12. And that is the sort of algebra done. To display the solution on a number line, I'm just going to do my 12, 11, and 13. It's going to be a circle that's coloured in, and then it's pointing down. And that is the full solution. So you've worked it out and you've displayed it on a number line. So we're covering all our bases. If we're only asked to do this, then we'd stop there in the GCSE. If we were asked to do this bit, we could do it because we've practiced it. So we're covering all bases. And with each one, I will explain clearly the steps that I've taken to get to the solution. So if you are feeling not as confident with the solving at the moment, hopefully this will help. So that's your next one. Press pause and hit play when you're ready. Okay, so last thing I say is plus 8, so that's going to minus 8. 5x is left, And 43 take away 8 is 35. And then going to divide through by that 5. And I've got x is greater than 7. So on my number line, 7, 8, 6, it's going to be an open circle and it's going to be pointing that way. Okay, next question, a little bit harder this time. So 9x minus 21 and 6x minus 4. Now, if you're really happy, just hit that pause and have a go. If you're not, then I'm going to give you one quick hint and then I want you to hit pause. So if you don't want any hints, pause now. The hint is more for people that aren't too confident with their equations yet. When you've got x's on both sides, you need to get the x's on the same side. So you must make that your first movement. Always look for the smaller set of x's, which in this case is this, 6x is smaller than 9x, and you move that first. So that moves first, okay? That's as far as I'm going is with the hint. So now have a go and then hit play when you're ready and I'll finish it off. Okay, so the 6x is moving across. It's going to land as minus 6x because it's a positive positive 6 on that side, okay? When I tidy this up, I've got 9 take 6. That's going to be 3x. I still got the minus 28. And then I've got minus 4 left on this side. And do be careful. Don't lose that negative, okay? That's important. Now it's looking very much like the previous question. So all I have to do now is get rid of the minus 28. That will land as plus 28. So I've now got 3x being greater than 24. Finish it off by dividing through by that 3, and x is greater than 8. So onto my number line, 8, 7, 9. It is open and pointing that way. And if you got that right without any hints or help at all, really good, really, really well done. Okay, next question. It's going to be 2x plus 23 less than or equal to 6x plus 3. So really similar to the last one we did. Give you a chance to practice it if it was the first time you've seen it in a while, and hit play when you're ready. Okay, so out of my x's, the 2x is the smallest. So that's going to land as minus 2x. That's leaving 23 on this side, and then 4x plus 3 on this side. And then again, it's all about getting that x on its own. Now, some people are uncomfortable with it being back to front like this. You can get the 4x plus 3 at the beginning and the 23 at the end, if that is better for you. But you must be really careful about that symbol. I can't leave the symbol, I'll put it in and I'll take it out. I can't leave the symbol looking like that, because if you look closely, this symbol is pointing to 23. It's not pointing at 23 anymore. So I must, if I'm going to do that, must remember to put the sign back the way that it was. It was pointing at 23 and it must stay that way, okay? Right, let's work on this. So if I'm going to get x on its own, 3 is going to land. It's going to land as minus 3. 23 take 3 is 20. And then my 4 is going to divide through. So I've got x being that. Okay. This would have come out in exactly the same way, x and that. And you can kind of see when it comes to drawing the number line, this feels a lot easier. That I could accidentally point the wrong way round. So correcting that and getting the x first is probably really sensible. Otherwise you could end up pointing the wrong way. So I want my x, it's open and pointing to the 5, and it's got that. So then I've got my 5, my 4, and my 6. It's coloured in and it's pointing up. So if you put it the wrong way because of the fact that this was back to front, that's a good mistake to make because you'll learn from it. So it's not like the end of the world. And hopefully you understand why that needs to be changed. Okay. All right, let's do another one. So at the moment, we're still sticking with the sort of equations that you should know. We're not taking the inequality equation up. We're going to do that in a minute. So this one is 5x plus 2 greater than or equal to 30. So press pause and hit play when you're ready. Okay. You don't always have to expand the brackets. You could divide through by that 5 straight away. However, it's good practice too, because there are rare occasions where it was going to be a lot easier if you do that. So we're going to expand these brackets. 5 times x is 5x, and 5 times 2 is 10. And now I've released that x. It's not stuck or trapped in the bracket anymore. And it's back to the basics. So it's easy to finish off. So that'll land as minus 10. And that's 20. And that. Oh, I'm writing the answer. My brain is ahead of my writing. So x is greater than or equal to 4. If you sometimes land like, that I needed to land as minus 10, it's really common again when you're just practicing and learning for you to accidentally forget and then not do that. So again, just accept those errors as opportunities to learn and not as, oh, I'm not getting it, or it's just, I never get this right. It's just, it really is practice, and mistakes are 100% normal. So I've got my 4, my 3, my 5. It's coloured in over the 4 and it's pointing up. Okay, so we're going to look now at a slightly harder question. Okay, so we've got 4, then we've got the symbol and 2x, but then we've got the symbol again. And you're being asked to find the solution to this, okay, and display it on a number line. But there are 2 inequalities. So actually what we're going to be doing is seeing this as 2 different questions. So we're going to see it as that, and then we're also going to see it as that, okay? So the red one was 4 less than 2x, and the blue one is 2x less than 6. So we are actually pulling, because we've got 2 symbols, we're actually going to be pulling 2 equations together, okay? So we're going to go on and solve them. I literally just need to divide through by that 2, and then x is on its own. And then again, I'm just going to divide through by that 2, x is 3. So we're going to correct this so that the x is in front. The x, it's open and pointing to the 2. So that's how I'm thinking that through so that I don't mess up, okay? But almost in a way, you don't need to worry about it, because you know that there's going to be an open circle at the 2, and you know there's going to be an open circle at the 3, and the range of numbers that the x can take lie between the 2 and the 3. So you don't have to get quite so bogged down with that stage, because the 2 circles are just going to join up anyway. And that is true of any question where you have this 2 symbol thing going on, okay? Those lines should come together, okay? So as an equation, as an inequality, that there is 2x3. Okay, and we read this as x is less than 3, or x is greater than, because it's opened at the x and we're reading backwards, x is greater than 2. Greater than 2, less than 3. Okay. All right, let's have a go at another one. Now, these are quite rare. They're not like on every exam I've ever seen, but they've cropped up once or twice. We want to be prepared if they do. It is now grade 5. There's no getting around that. So it's right up there. It's at the top end now. So if you're finding it hard, that's a good reason for it. Okay. Remember, do each one separately. Okay. If you have a go and then come back and press play, you don't have to watch the whole solution. You might just start watching it as if for a hint and then pause to go on a bit further. It's entirely up to you how you make it work. All right, have a go and press play when you're ready. Okay, so I'm concentrating on that bit first. So I've got 5 and then 2x plus 1. So the plus 1's going to land as -1, and 5 minus 1 is 4. And then that's going to land as divide by 2. So I've got 2 and x here. Now going to work on this one, which is 2x plus 1, it's less than 7, minus 1, and I've got 2x, and sorry, my brain is jumping to the answer again. And then divide through by 2, and you've got x3. Putting that on a number line, 2, 3, open in the 3, open at the 2, and they need to join up. When it comes to rewriting it, we just literally are squashing the x's. It's almost, I could probably do it actually because of the software. It's just like those x's are just going to come and sit on top of each other. And then that's how that will look finished off. Okay. Right, well done, well done. If you're getting it right, well done. If you're getting halfway through it, okay, these are tricky. All right, let's have a little look, okay. Only 4. Okay, now, don't do this one because something happens when you've got a negative that you're going to divide or multiply by, okay? And you won't know it unless you're told. And I don't want you to waste time working on the question and then going wrong because you didn't know this fact. But it's really, really important to know that if you ever have to divide or multiply through by a negative number with inequalities, it affects the symbol and it switches it, okay? So it might be worth making a little note on this one because it's a big deal. It's easy to forget. So the sign changes to opposite direction when dividing or timesing. Okay. Now, if you feel that that's all you need to have a go at that question, then hit pause and then press play. If you just want to see it in action, just let it run through and I will show you that. Okay. So the first one here is 4 and then minus 2x. So I'm going to divide through by minus 2. 4 divided by minus 2 is minus 2. I am switching the sign and I'm getting that. I'm now going to work on that one. and I've got minus 2x. I'm going to divide through by my minus 2. 6 divided by minus 2 is minus 3. Okay, I'm going to change the direction of my symbol and put my x in. Okay, and then I've got my minus 3 and then my minus 2. They're going to be filled in and then they can just join up. Okay. Okay, so you're going to practice and have a good go. There's some questions for you to have a go at. When you're ready to mark, obviously just let the video run on and go between the two. So what I want you to do is obviously solve and put it on a number line. Please go between the two. Don't just do all 10 and then mark. And then there is a small, it's not really long, but there's a small section on a few other bits and pieces. So basically working from when you've actually been given the symbol on the number line and taking it back there. That's kind of what we've got left to look at. Now you may choose to do that now, you may choose to do it in another session, but I appreciate this is quite a long session, so it's entirely your choice. Anyway, I shall get the answers up and then I will obviously continue the video. Okay, there's the answers. Let's just get that. There we go. See everything? Still a bit. That's better. Okay, so we are going to look at writing the inequality and all possible integer values that satisfy the inequality. And that sounds like it's going to be something that's really tricky, but it's just not, okay? It really isn't difficult. So we've got to take in what we've got. So we've got a filled in circle over the 8. So we know that our inequality is going to have that extra line and it equals with it. And here it does not. We know that the number is going to lie between 5 and 8. So you literally are just going to write 5, 8. It's going to be less than if it's going in that direction or equal to. And greater than, because I'm reading backwards, x is greater than 5 or 5 is less than x, okay? And that is the inequality. These symbols always look like the L. They're always the less than. So you don't have to overthink that too much, okay? So that's a little top tip for you. So that's the inequality written. All possible integer values. Integers are just whole numbers. So the integer values that this inequality can take, or this picture of the inequality, it can be, I was about to say it can be, but it can't. It can't be 5 because it doesn't equal 5. So it can't be 5, all right, which means the integer values are 6, 7, and 8. All right, let's do the next one. If you want to have a go, press pause. If you just want to see that talk through one more time, then listen. Okay, so my range is -2 to 1. They're both filled in circles. So they're both going to have the line and then pop your X in the middle. Do not overcomplicate it. That's everything it needs to be. And then my integer values can equal the endpoints and those in between. So you would list those. You wouldn't just leave them as a highlight. So you'd say -2, -1, 0, 1. Okay. So have a go at the next 2 and then hit play when you're ready. Okay, so this one is just my x, whatever the right symbol is, and minus 5. Now, I know that the symbol has to have the equal sign. It's pointing down the number line, so I do the same as the arrowhead. So it's just the reverse of what we were doing before. All right, x is going to be less than or equal to minus 5. This one, I have 13 and 14 as my range. It can equal the 14, but not the 13 with my x in the middle. So all the possible integers for this one is 14. This one, you wouldn't really be asked all the possible integers because there's just, it goes into infinity, doesn't it? You know, it can include minus 5 and it can be minus 6 and it can be minus 7, it can be minus 8, and it's just going to go on and on and on and on and on because there's nothing stopping it. So you wouldn't be asked that part of the question on an inequality that looked like that. All right, so there's 2 more. Hit play when you're ready. Okay, so I have minus 1, 2, it doesn't equal it, it doesn't equal it. So that's the inequality. So it can't equal minus 1, which means 0, 1, and then it can't equal 2. So 0 and 1 are the only integer values that satisfy that inequality. This one, we know that it's x, we know that it's 4, it's not equaling, the arrowhead is pointing up, x is greater than 4. And again, we wouldn't list it for that style. All right, hopefully that's going well. Obviously, we could also be asked to draw. So here we were given the drawing and we were asked to produce the inequality. This is just the other way around. So I'm going to leave you to have a go at those first 2 because it's also linked to what we were doing before. So it shouldn't hopefully be too tricky at all to work out. Okay, so my number line is going to be minus 3 to 2. I'm going to have an open circle at the 2, a filled in circle at the 3, and I'm just going to join them together. If I'm going to write down my integer values as well, then it's minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, and 1. I cannot include the 2 because it doesn't equal the 2. Okay. For the next one, x is greater than 5. This one should be really simple because it's exactly what we were doing just a moment ago. So I'm colouring it in and pointing in that direction. Okay, so we've got next 2. Press play when you're ready. Hopefully it's starting to feel quite natural to do. Okay, so I've got minus 5 and 1. It can include them both. There is the drawing. The list is minus 5, minus 4, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0. And of course, it can include that one. So quite a few integers on that one. Next one. I've got minus 1 to 4, open circles. And then it is going to be 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so this is the last. I'm just going to rub out the bits here just so they're not distracting. So this one looks a little different because it is a little different. Okay, it's the same as before. I want you to display on a number line and write all the possible integer values that satisfy it. So we're practicing both skills. It might be that you're not asked to draw on a number line at all. In the exam, it could literally just be write all the integer values that satisfy these 2 inequalities. All right, but knowing how to do both makes it easier to do them anyway. So I know I've not demonstrated this, but I want you to go for it because at the end of the day, the worst thing that can happen is it goes wrong. And so what? If it goes right, you'll be over the moon with yourself. So have a go. and then press play. Okay, so I'm going to put these on the same number line. So I've got 4 and 8. It's open, it's filled in, and now it's going to be joined up. And then I've got 5 here, which is going to be filled in. And then it's pointing, and obviously it goes on and on and on. It goes way past 8, doesn't it? But I want to write down the integers that satisfy both of those. So that is going to be 5. Oops, wrong. There we go. That's going to be 5 for both of those, isn't it? And then it'll stop when it gets to the 8. That's the only section where both lines are working together. So the integers are 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, if it went well, you'll probably just want to carry on watching the next one. If it didn't, and you're like, okay, I get it now, pause and have a go at that second one if you think you've done it wrong. Okay, let's have a little look at this one then. So we've got, let's put our 2 there. It's an open circle and it's pointing that way. And then I've got -3. I might just make that a little bit bigger then. -3 is here. And we are filling in and going off in that direction. So it's all the numbers where the 2 lines agree. So we've got the -3 agreeing because my arrow should really go further than that. And then it's going to stop before that 2 because that 2 cannot be included. So we've got -3, -2, -1, 0, and 1 in our list. And that is pretty much inequalities, the whole topic in one video. Hopefully you have done it in 2 parts because it's quite intense, I think, trying to do all of that in one session. And obviously repeat any bits that you feel that you need to. We've got some practice questions on this, which are here. And much more, that's it, that's fitted on nicely if I do that. Okay, so there's some practice questions for you. You're going to write the inequality and all possible integer values for each of those questions. And then I will see you next session. So really, really well done. Just pop your answers up. There you go.